Subdivisions can be a powerful way to create wealth through property, but why are they often more complex than most people expect? I'm Tim Graham. The Property Playbook starts now. Welcome to the Property Playbook, presented by Hotspotting, where each episode we empower you with expert insights and trends to thrive in today's competitive marketplace. Today, we're tackling land subdivisions, a key strategy for investors looking to maximise their land's potential. Joining me today is Ben Nobelius from Nobelius Land Surveyors. Ben, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me, Tim. It's a pleasure.
Great to be here. For anybody watching that may not know what a subdivision is, can we start there? Tell us, what exactly does a subdivision entail?
Yeah, sure. So subdivision, essentially, we're just starting with a big block and ending up with two or more smaller ones. So sounds pretty easy, but yeah, it does come with its complexities. So we're essentially having to work through council processes, getting approval, and then working through the compliance aspects of service authorities and compliance issues from buildings and works and things like that. So it's a very powerful tool when thinking about creating wealth, and something that many established landowners turn to, as do people looking to enter the market as well. If they can buy a property that's got subdivision potential, they can pay down that mortgage and sit on an asset that's worth a lot more than just a single parcel in itself.
Yeah,
so,
of course. Obviously, a great way to grow some wealth, but I'm sure it's not always as easy as it seems. What are some of the complexities that come with doing a subdivision?
Yeah, so I guess some of the things that we see a lot of. People just not knowing, not knowing what to expect, getting bad advice at the start. So I bury it back to expectation. So we're really, we're wanting to, from my perspective, let people know up front what they're up for. I work a lot on, providing all the information as quickly and as soon as I can. So then when we get into the process, we're not, trying to reel back, what they're thinking they can do, or blowing budgets and things like that. So yeah, we really just want to make sure that they're aware of what they can, what they can't do, how long it's going to take, who they need to speak to, the team they need to get around them. I
suppose with anything investment, there's a couple of different ways to go about it. Try and do it DIY, do it yourself, or use someone like yourself. If somebody was thinking about doing a subdivision, what are some of the main misconceptions that they may have around a subdivision?
Yeah, a lot of things that we see are more like, I wasn't aware that I had to pull the shed down, or I wasn't aware I had to construct a new dwelling at the rear, or a new crossover, or things like that. So we're constantly, having to navigate those intricacies from council to council, intricacies from authority to authority, and let alone from property to property. So, misconceptions people might have are not, hard or difficult. They're just, unique to the property. So, we try and guide people through, and make sure that they're aware of from as early as possible, what they're up for, and set there, like I mentioned at the start, that expectation that it's going to be a 2-year or 18-month or 3 years sometimes.
So timeframes obviously can be a big factor.
Yeah, very much so. So yeah, and that can can make. Make or break. When you're talking high interest costs, they can make or break projects.
Yeah, certainly for those holding costs.
Yeah, absolutely.
So again, there's a couple of different ways. I might be looking for a property that can subdivide, or maybe I'm already holding a property that I may choose to subdivide. Yep. What are some of the key factors that you look for before entertaining a subdivision or diving directly in?
Yeah, so I think the thing that I like to ask people, or to get out of people early days, is their exit strategy. You wouldn't jump into the ocean without an idea of how you're going to get out. So similarly, with property, it's like, are you looking to hold? You build to rent. Is that your model? Is it build to pay down a mortgage? Is it build to with another partner, brother or sister, mum or dad, and then looking to take a property each, and setting that strategy very early can be, very important on the way out. So getting good advice from tax agents, from lawyers, setting a structure. Are you buying in a trust? Do you want to buy personally? Stamp duty implications, capital gains implications, they can gobble up so much of the profit.
Yeah, and as you say, if you don't have that understanding at the beginning can become a very expensive exercise at the back end.
That's right, and it's really difficult to see the mum and dad just trying to get ahead. There's a lot of difficulties and hurdles along the way, and if they get to the end and think, oh great, I've made 100,000 and 50,000, whatever it is, profit, then they get a tax bill for 45,000, and you think, oh, it doesn't make them want to come back.
Especially land tax now as well.
Exactly. So and you've got to have the right team. So whether that's selling agent, things like that, pick your time, pick when you want to enter the market, because if you go too late, holding costs, you hit that January 1 date again, land tax hits again. So you really got to be mindful of exit. And I think that's a really important one. Secondly is understanding what the land's capabilities are. Yeah. So, if you're looking at a parcel of land, or if you own a parcel of land, finding out the zoning, the overlays, the site's opportunities, not so much just the constraints is really important as well. So a lot of that can be found online. There's some really great tools, Land Checker, different things like that people can subscribe and get all that information from. But local experts are really where the the nuggets of gold are.
No doubt.
Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, the councils and the service authorities, they each have their own little intricacies. So one property that is identical to another one in a different area can be a completely different profit at the end of the day because of different reasons. So it's really important to know what you're in for, and get that advice early days. Okay,
and then in terms of a typical process for doing a subdivision, could you step us through that? And then also, for Nobelius Land Surveyor, where do you start and where do you end?
Yeah. So I break this down in my mind to three distinctive stages. Yep. First one, and I think the most important one, is the pre-purchase. This is where
stage.
Yep. Due diligence. And again, there's teams, you might know of a couple that do this really well and that you can employ to get help with this. This, is the piece where you're gathering the information about the property. You're setting your strategy. You're going, okay, we want to build on these, or we want to create land and sell off before we so someone else can build on them. So that strategy is really important, and then you're going to set your budgets and your expectations there, and then you're going to negotiate the price. Yeah. So it's do all that before you get to the hang on, this is $1 million property. No, let's see what the numbers break it back to.
Yeah. And obviously not always sort of buying and selling in the same market. Things can fluctuate a lot, so there's got to be some type of understanding of what the market is likely to do moving forward to see whether something's viable. So is that something you guys can help with too?
Yeah, look, we're not speculators, I guess, so, I like to think of our...
Conservative?
Yeah, that's right. A lot of people do, ask for our opinion, and I just lead with, this is what I'd do, in your situation. So I'd talk to this person, I'd gather this information. I really don't want to... be erring on the side of, this is a great property, this is why you should buy it. It's more of a, this is what can be done, and these are your options.
Stick to the facts.
Yeah, stick to the facts. Okay. I know you can't do too much wrong there. But I guess stage one, pre-purchase. Heading into stage two, we've got the planning permit process. So this is where we're doing the detailed site investigations, doing the land survey, getting the assessments done, whether it's trees, building design, that kind of thing. We're really setting the design to submit to council to ask for approval. Once we've got, that stage really rounds out at the planning permit stage. So that's, I like to think of the paperwork stage. After that's finished, you're entering into the final stage, which is delivery. Sometimes that's building a unit, sometimes that's building a road. It's that you've got your planning permit in place. So we look to that to see the guidelines from council, what they want, what they expect, and from the service authorities as well. And then we're in that helping and guiding the client or the landowner there to deliver on those items, and then getting the relevant consents and things like that. So we're finalising that is your consents from council and authorities that end up in the titles, and everyone's happy when it comes to payday. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So our role as surveyors and town planners is all the way through it. We're at the start. We're helping with those due diligence. Weeding out the properties that they should avoid. setting the strategy with them, submitting to council, and then dealing with the subdivision components in the final stage, those consents and compliance issues as well. So yeah, it's a pretty unique position we are, where we do get to see from pretty much day zero all the way through to the very end. So. Yeah. Which is good because we've had a lot of experience over a lot of years doing these for a number of clients and ourselves more recently. So it's it's good experience we like to share.
That's all right. And obviously, when it goes well, everybody's happy. But tell us about some of the common roadblocks, or I suppose hurdles that people might get hit with as they're trying to do this on their own, or even with council changes and things. Yeah,
I guess the most common thing we find. And especially for the mum and dad clients, who it makes up a big part of our client base, is just not knowing what's next. We can, till we're red in the face, we can explain it to them, but it's not natural. And sometimes it's like hearing another language, which we get. So we're we're there to just help them, foresee things as well. Decision in stage one can affect us, an outcome or a cost in stage three, and that's the foresight that we bring to the table and that we're able to help them with, and help them avoid, well-intended mistakes.
Okay. And in terms of roadblocks, though, what are some of the most common ones that you do see?
Well, a lot of the ones I seem to have come across lately is within council. So we're going to ask council for subdivision approval for this, and then they say, no, instead of putting the entranceway here, you have to put it here. Yeah. And I come to them and say, hang on, you haven't thought about power, or you haven't thought about the water supply or something like that, and the council planner's like, yeah, well, I haven't, because I don't deal with that. I'm like, you don't, but we do at the end. Yeah. So, so it's kind of managing, I guess, what the planning permit's going to issue at the end of the day, and what the delivery process will be at the start of that design and concept stage.
Very good. Yeah. All right, a final thought for anybody thinking about doing this. What sort of tips would you give to somebody that was thinking about doing their first subdivision?
I would say set your exit strategy. Know what you want out of it before you go into it. Yeah. So I've done these personally, with my mum and dad, with my sister, and my exit strategy changed at after we held, and then we decided to sell to buy another one. But we had options there. Yeah. So just set up the right, I suppose, entity to start off with. You're going to purchase in the team around you, and that really important. Your solicitor, your accountant, your surveyor, your town planner, your designer, and then your builder if you're building, or contractor. So it's the team, it's the exit strategy, and then lastly is finding the property that suits you.
Yeah.
It's the one that suits your risk appetite. The one that suits your time constraints and your budget.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Well, that's some fantastic information. I think it's a terrific service that you offer, Ben. Thank you so much for coming in today.
No, thanks for having me, Tim. Appreciate it, mate.
Well, folks, that's the play for today. This is Ticker. We'll be right back.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.